Hi, everyone. It's Lisa and Bonnie with Moving Mountains Property Group. We thought that it would be a good idea to discuss property taxes in Buncombe County. So we're going to give you the scoop today on what's going on with the taxes and reassessment here in Buncombe County.
So I'm going to talk about the first segment here, which is about property taxes. And some of you may or may not know much about property taxes. So North Carolina is an octennial state, which means every 8 years, counties have to reassess property taxes. However, counties can reassess them more often than that if they so choose to. And basically, the municipalities that will be taxing you depends on where your property is located. A property can be located in a city, county, a township, a school district, or a fire district. And all of those different municipalities can impose taxes, if they have the legal right to do so. So that's going to depend on what your overall tax will be. So basically, there's two components involved with the property taxes. One of them is the assessed value, which is the county will decide what they feel like the value of your home or land is worth. And then you have the tax rate, which is set every year by that municipality. So the county sets their tax rate based on what their budget is for the year. And so that's how we come up with the two numbers that determine your property taxes. The tax rate can change every single year, as we discussed, based on the budget of the municipality. And typically, counties do not reassess value every year because that's a big undertaking. But this year, Buncombe County has decided that they want to do a reassessment, and likely because we are having such a booming market in real estate.
Surprise, surprise.
So they are likely going to increase taxes on most of us, at least by the assessed value, and we'll see if the multiplier rate goes down. And so I think in my notes, I was going to have Lisa take over from here to talk about assessed value, and if you don't feel it's accurate, and to cover some of the questions we get from clients about property taxes versus market value. So take it away, Lisa.
So I think something that's going to be very important to you about in this segment is that you can challenge your reassessment when you get it. Now, in doing that, a good way to do that is to reach out to one of us, or if you have a realtor, your realtor, to get a market analysis, which would help show the true market value of your property. Tax value and market value, as we all know, or most of us, is not typically, they're not in alignment. Tax value a lot of time is lower, maybe because they do not know the improvements that you've done to your home. And when they do the assessment, they simply drive by. So they don't go in your home to see the way that it's appointed, to see what you have done, to know if, for example, you've even finished your basement, so on and so forth, added a deck. There can be a multitude of different things that you've done to improve your home that they may not see. So with that being said, there is also a risk. Bonnie and I both fought our assessments at one point and we won, but you could also, if they don't know of those improvements and you go in to try to fight that assessment, end up with a higher rate, which they say at the tax office does happen to a lot of people when they try to fight their assessment. So I think the most beneficial is to come to one of us and get a market analysis so that you definitely have an idea of what you would be looking at with the improvements that you've done when you do go to Buncombe County to try to get your tax assessment lowered. Okay, so I guess I've already actually covered that. If they do overvalue your property. Another thing that you might be beneficial is you can figure out your taxes and your tax rate. There is a tax rate sheet.
I will go to so we can look at it.
Yeah, that we have, and and you can look at it by your city or your township, as Bonnie discussed, all those different components.
So here's an example. So you're to get the taxes that you will pay, you take the assessed value divided by $100 of value, and then you times it by, this is the multiplying rate for 2020 for different parts of Buncombe County, depending on if they're in a certain school district, fire district, township. So let's say that if your property is in Buncombe County, it's also in the city of Asheville and in the city school zone, then you would take your value, your assessed value, and divide it by $100,000, and then you would times it by this multiplier rate, and that would give you what your taxes would be in 2020. Of course, going into this new year, we don't know what the assessed values are going to be, because that usually comes out in like July, Lisa.
Yeah,
July.
it is. It's in
And
July.
so and then they determine the multiplier rate then too. So going into this new year, we don't, if you asked us what the taxes would be for a home that you're purchasing, we really can't give you a total firm number, but we can tell you what it was last year to help give you an idea.
Yeah. And that's determined by their budget in each area.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that multiplier, it's determined by what their budget is, and you don't necessarily know that until they, as they do every year, come out with what that multiplier is going to be. If you would like to get an idea, or you would like a copy of the tax rate sheets, please reach out to one of us. We'd be happy to send that to you. We keep them because we do try to give our clients at least an estimate or an idea of what their taxes may be when they are purchasing a home or land in a certain area.
I think it's interesting, when looking at this rate sheet, like county only, here is the number. I think it surprises people when they're buying a property out in the county. Like, let's say they're buying it in Barnardsville. They think they're out in the county and they're just going to have county taxes. Well, hey, guess what? No, Barnardsville has a tax. And here it is. I mean, look at Jupiter, like they've got their own. I mean, Jupiter's just
Probably
this little section.
Inca too. Inca's a little small section. Yep.
All of these little municipalities, and a lot of this helps cover like fire departments, emergency response, which you want to have that available to you, especially living in these remote areas of the county. But it's interesting looking at, how many smaller municipalities add on. I mean, here's Reams Creek in Weaverville. They have theirs. It's just interesting.
So I guess I'm sorry, Bonnie.
No, go ahead.
I guess the Reams Creek, would that be the highest multiplier? I think I noticed as we were going.
I mean, it's a pretty large amount. I mean, it's brought it up over one. If you look at Buncombe County, is 52 cents, like 52, almost 53 cents. Reams Creek brings it up to over $1. So it's interesting. So understanding too, when you're buying a property, where the property is located. Is it located in one of these little townships or, fire districts or something that will make your taxes different than Buncombe County taxes? That's important. And that's why, when you're buying a house, we provide you with a copy of the tax bill, the most recent one that we have. So you can look at it and see is there schools, are there townships, are there fire districts beyond just having the county taxes.
Yeah.
So, So yeah, I get a lot of questions. I don't know if you do, Lisa, when you're helping buyers with houses. I mean, I'll print off like the county property report, tax report for them, and they'll see the listing price and that it's, $425,000, but then they will look at the assessed value for the property and they'll be like, oh, this is only worth $290. Why is it so different? Do you get that question a lot?
I get that question a lot, and because people want to know how the tax value plays into fair market value. And they really are two separate values. because the fair market value is determined by the buyers and the sellers, what you're willing to pay and what a seller is willing to take. And the tax value is determined solely by that multiplier, and the county driving by to do that assessment. So I think the only relationship that I ever typically see between the two that is helpful is like maybe in a certain township in the city across the board, the tax value is, let's say, maybe 10 to 20% lower than what fair market value may be. But they are definitely never totally in alignment. I would say right now, I have seen them more in alignment than they used to be in the last 5 years. Definitely when you're printing off the taxes.
I think because Buncombe County has done more reassessments. I think the last reassessment was about 3 years ago. Two, I've found just looking at these tax records that if a homeowner has owned a property for a long period of time, that typically their taxes are lower. The assessed value is typically even lower than a neighboring property in the same neighborhood. Just because it hasn't sold in the last 15 years, they don't have any kind of market value because they can see those closed transactions. So they don't really have any market value to set this home. So often if you buy a house, I've seen it where once you close on a house, they see what your market value is. And then suddenly, the tax assessed value is about the same as what you paid for it. Is that something you've noticed too?
Most definitely. Yeah. That's typically what happens, because when you sell, and they do tell you that and if you sell, they will reassess the value of the property.
So yeah, it's interesting and sometimes puzzling how these assessed values come about, but that really, I mean, too, I think the market changes so quickly with real estate that they can't keep up with it doing the assessed value because it's such a big undertaking to reassess everyone's value. And the market can change, in 3 months you can see changes that would make the numbers really different.
Most definitely. And when they do that, it does increase your house payment, because most people, when they get their house payment, it's with their insurance and their taxes and their principal. And so, that insurance or when those taxes are reassessed going up, that definitely can change your monthly budget.
I can tell you, I've had lots of clients call me that bought a house and, they were locked in at this payment based on their principal and interest and then taxes and insurance. And a year later, the property was reassessed. The value was reassessed and the taxes went up. And they have called me and said, my payment just went up. I thought this payment was locked in forever. And, that's something that maybe their lender needs to do a better job of explaining, that taxes and insurance can increase. Their principal and interest is locked in and it will be the same. But if they're doing a fixed rate mortgage, but those taxes and insurance can change and it will make your payment change.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. And I have also had people give me a call and say, I just got my tax bill and it's lower than what I paid for my house. If I want to sell my house this year, will that affect it? So I do think it's good to discuss tax value and for everyone to know that tax value is only important to Buncombe County. And so when you're selling your home, fair market value, is what you want to get. And usually it is a little higher than your tax value.
Yeah. Unless we're in a, recession or something. And then sometimes.
Yeah. Then that can change too.
But yeah. So, yes, market value is different. And I think talking to an agent about your market value and understanding what that is versus the assessed value is a good idea, especially when you're getting ready to list your house. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting topic and I get lots of questions about it. So I think we wanted to discuss it so that we could share some information with folks and hope this was helpful. Lisa, anything you want to add?
No, just have a great day and please feel free to reach out to us if you'd like a copy of the multiplier sheet or if you would like a CMA at some point. when your tax bill comes out.
Great. Thanks. Have a great day.
Have a great day.